All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, referencing an article from Help Guide, why doesn't she just leave? Is a question many people always ask when they learn that a woman is suffering battery and abuse. But if you are in an abusive relationship, you know that it's not that simple. Ending a significant relationship is never easy. It's even harder when you've been isolated from your family and friends, psychologically beaten down, financially controlled, and physically threatened. Now, if you're trying to decide whether to stay or leave, you may be feeling confused, uncertain, frightened, and torn. Maybe you're still hoping that your situation will change, or you're afraid of how your partner would react if he discovers that you're trying to leave. One moment you may be desperately want to get away, and the next you may just want to hang on to that relationship. There's a mixed feeling. So maybe you even blame yourself for the abuse, or feel weak and embarrassed because you've stuck around in spite of it all. Don't be trapped by confusion, guilt, or self-blame. The only thing that matters is your safety, right? Now, so do you believe that the society can start to be more empathetic and normalize walking out of toxic relationships? Because I think they have put some mystery behind it and abnormality behind it, and that's why a lot of people, even when they find themselves in life-threatening situations, they stay there. Now, that's the question. Can we begin to normalize walking away from toxic relationship? Now, please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-8038-4663. You can also tweet at us at PlusTvAfrica1 with the hashtag WasteShow. All right, Unoma, I was going to say to you, bringing it back to Osinachi's story, there was a story that came out about 3 hours ago, or 4 hours ago now, on Linda Ikeji's blog, where the mother, right, Osinachi's mom came out to say that, and I think I shared it in a group, where she came out to say that he told my daughter she will never leave their marriage in death. You are only in death, except right? Yeah. And also the twin sister narrates her experience. So she was saying that as a mother, she was not even able to go and see her daughter, her grandchildren for 8 years. She was banned from the house. So how you identify a predator is very important. When you are in a relationship where it seems like you are shielded from your family cannot visit, you can't do anything, you're controlled. Because again, a lot of the gospel artists that came out, and even some pastors that accused the husband, said that he was constantly ensuring that negotiations around her finances, when she goes to perform, he was in charge. He was her manager. He was in charge. There were some, he said, that if they don't pay a certain amount, he would not allow her to go, right? And you know what now struck me the most, Noma? When I read down the story, further down the story, she actually left the marriage for over a year. She left that marriage for over a year, only to return after some pastors came to beg. Who are those pastors? Please, let us call them out. Because they need to be jailed alongside with the husband. So she actually left the marriage. It just brings me back to, remember that story of the lady, I think he was a banker, maybe she worked with Skybank or so, that she had left. She only came back to pick a few things, and that was how the husband, killed her. So I'm really just, torn apart, because it's not even so much of this person. I just saw another story where a girl died at childbirth with a child in her womb. And the mother has come out to accuse the son-in-law because there were bruises that indicated that she was constantly being battered, even in pregnancy. So this story is not new, and the stories are everywhere. The only thing that is making this a bit out there in the open is because of the person that some level of popularity, for her music. And even coming from that angle, when you listen to Ekweme, it's such, you could feel the passion. Before now, having realized what's going on, you could feel the depth of that music. It came from a very deep place. And they say that musicians find outlet through their music. So sometimes some of the things that they're going through is embedded in, the words
of their music and all of that. And that probably would have been an outlet for her to express from deep inside that it's like, I don't have help coming from anywhere except from God. But unfortunately, I don't know how it came to be that there was not one single person. Well, I can remember several times that we've gone to literally pull people out of violent and toxic relationships just for them to, if I don't know, and thinking, I mean, this is so personal for me because it's something that we're hugely invested in. Women, and you know, helping them to find their feet and all of that, and even gone into situations where we've had to
literally pull police
people out of relationships that almost killed them. So hearing this, I'm wondering, in all of the people that knew what was going on, there was not one person that could step in and pull this woman away, separate the two of them for a bit. Let's even have some space in between. Let's even look from a distance, from a different angle. Let these two people clear their heads. Let's see if it can help to resolve what the situation is. And this woman goes back.
Norma, okay, so I like what you've just said, because at reading further down that story, the mother said that she had told her a couple of times to leave, but Osinachi insisted on staying, insisting that the Bible frowns at divorce. So now we are talking about normalizing walking out of toxic relationships. Who do we start to hold? Because I like Funke Felix Adejuwon. She came out.
Yes.
And she, I mean, a couple of pastors, even the Poleneche, I believe she's a member of his church, came out. I mean, they had to go and pull out an old video where he was talking about you cannot, yes, don't go and die in a marriage.
That is better to be alive.
Yes, than to be dead. Because now you have kids. The kids are there. Because again, part of why a lot of women stay in toxic relationship, they say, oh, my children, what will happen to my children? What will happen to my... But when you die, what will happen to them?
Well, so let me start by saying that one of the first things I've realized in toxic relationships is that an unconscious programming takes place, first and foremost. Whether it's in the relationship when you've not even gotten married. Unfortunately, very unfortunately, there's some of these signs that are already there. But sometimes in the euphoria of love and, you know, dating, or I like this person so much, you're not so much as paying attention to that angle. Okay, so it has happened. We find that these things begin to happen. So gradually, these people who find themselves in toxic relationships begin to be programmed unconsciously into believing that. So it starts with, oh, these your friends are becoming too much of a problem, they're always around, can't you just, I mean, we need to have time for ourselves. The next thing is, oh, your friends, you can't come to the house anymore, you know, you are just fresh in marriage, we need to know ourselves. So isolation begins to happen. The next thing, oh, family members are becoming a problem, and gradually you begin to isolate. And another thing is that some of these predators, they already know their victims. There are things that they look out for people, that they know whether you're insecure. So they can come from the place of insecurity to shield you, to become everything, your support, this and that and that and that. Shield you so much that you're seeing all of the, probably the love that they're showering on you, without realizing that this is a sort of cocoon that they are beginning to build, so that when they strike, no one can come to your aid. So they say, oh, he loves it. You hear things like that. You know, when we are counseling people, young people who are having trouble in their relationships and their marriages. Oh, but he loves me. He does this. He does that. He says he's sorry, even when he shouts at me and all of that. Disgraces you in public and comes and buys gifts and say, because he knows that you your love language, for example, is gift. So he'll do something, insult you, bring you down through verbal abuse or emotional abuse, and then goes and buys you flowers, or goes and buys you a gift that he knows that you will like. And then you say, oh, I'm forgiving him, he loves me, this and that. Nobody is deserving of disrespect. on any level. So when you find that somebody constantly continues to belittle you, continues to disrespect you, has no regard for who you are or any form of self-worth, those are pointers that already this person is toxic in the relationship that they so-called invested in. So, I mean, it's a very, very big situation. Now, another thing is that culture, our religion and culture play a significant role in allowing these things to thrive. We say that the silence of the victim is the power of the predator or the person that is victimizing people. How did people become silent? Because when you come out, you say, what will you say? A lot of families continued to cover up situations. Even when they knew that something was wrong, they would say, you cannot be the one that will break your home. You need to stay in and fix it. You need to try. Maybe you are the one. You're not being submissive. You're not listening to your husband. You are the one annoying your husband. You need to listen to him. You need to do this. You need to call him your Lord. This and that and that. At the end of the day, these people, for her mom to come out, who knows? You know, you mirror a lot of things without even knowing. These children, God forbid, if they have the opportunity when they grow up, if help does not come their way, I can bet you that it will repeat itself again. They will attract what they hate because at the end of the day, that is all they know. And you can't give what you don't have.
You know, I was going to say that, you know, when I looked at this topic, you know, how can we normalize walking out of toxic relationships, right? The first thing that came to my mind was that line when you're taking your vows that says for better or worse. I think that line has to be expunged.
A lot of churches have removed that line, actually.
But a lot of churches still have that line embedded there because now you have planted, because you remember you said something about the subconscious mind. You have planted it in the head of this person that there will be bad times, right? So it is for better or worse, we'll stay in this marriage till death do us part. So that's why the husband will say until she dies, she doesn't leave this marriage. And that's why she would also believe that it is only death that can separate her from that man. So if we want to normalize walking out of toxic relationship, we must completely expunge that line when taking marital vows, right? It is, we must make it okay. If the person says, I need a break, nobody should question. First of all, say, okay, you understand? How do we help you to take a break? Before you begin to ask, okay, so what went wrong? How do we fix this or something? First of all, take that person out of the situation. The person that is inside that relationship understands why they
wear the shoes.
They need the break.
They wear the shoes. They know wearing the shoes.
I posted something today on my page on Instagram. I said, these things, we are very quick. Look at the mother that posted the battery. I mean, they were showing the pictures while you were talking. The battery of her daughter. That is a physical pain. There are some people that are going through emotional torture. How do you quantify the pain and how do you quantify the impact that emotional torture
there are no scars
on that person?
You don't see readily the scars.
You don't have those scars, right? So if somebody comes to you and says, this is what I am going through, we all must be alert and say, you know what? How can I come in? How can I come in? Let me help you. And how can we, first of all, take you out of that toxic relationships? We should stop this question of, is he beating you? Is he not providing for you? Is he not bringing money to the house? What kind of questions are these? These are the most lame questions I hear. So because somebody is not beating me, because somebody is providing food for the house, because somebody is paying school fees and all of that, does that qualify him or her to be beside me as a partner? No. Partnership, marriage is a partnership. If you are not ready to be committed 100%, where you show that you respect this person, you love this person, you regard this person, and not constantly shoving disrespect on the person's face, then you are not ready to be in that relationship.
Oh, I totally agree with you. And in addition, just to you know, take it from another angle, especially where you said that that line should be expunged. I can't readily remember whether that line was there when I made my vows. I took it. But you see, something that really helped me in my marriage personally was when we went through our marriage counseling. And one of the first things, you know, that our marriage counselor, who was also a pastor, he was very real. He came up with real life situations. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? The number of children that you're going to have. Things that normally when you are in this lovey-dovey situation, you will not think about it. But it brought us to go back to go and ask questions, to ask one another questions. How do we see this? Are we in alignment with X, Y, Z and things like that? Because in conversations, couples are not, I think one of the major things that happens is that we are majorly unenlightened. We are not enlightened. A lot of people do not have true knowledge. Even when they say for better, for worse, or it's not in sickness and in health, and till death do us part. Those things were broken down in a sense. So in sickness and in health, when somebody that you love, for example, is going through pain, you want to be able to be there for them. You want to be able to help them. When somebody that you love is dying, you want to be there for them till their last breath. When somebody that you love is, what's the other line? In worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and for better, for worse. So the worse, those things were not elaborated. It was just capped in worse.
It was vague.
So it is very vague. It is not everything that goes under the category of worse. Worst situations is that you can have storms in relationship. There can be bankruptcy. Oh, we're in this together. How do we get out of it? There could be a challenge of childbirth. Are we still together in this relationship? Because I just realized that I had an accident. I don't have a womb. I don't have. I'm telling you. So these things were not elaborated for a lot of people. So they just kept it at worse. So you are killing me, and that means what? No, that does not mean worse. That is a completely different arrangement. The death in that commitment or that vow that you made did not mean that you will take a knife and kill me. It meant that if it comes to the point, we grew old together till we now move on.
We have bastardized that.
So we have really changed these things and changed the narrative to cause people to find themselves in places of victimization, and the religious bodies have fueled it. The cultural setting has fueled it. So guess what? People are dying in their relationship. It is obvious that I came into this relationship to be nurtured, to be loved, to grow, to prosper, to be somebody that will be impactful in society, and I'm dying. I was a flower when I came, and today I am a dead seed. That was not what I signed up for. So if our religious bodies and our cultural setting can get real, they need to open their eyes, because we are breeding a new generation of people who are dead to humanity. Who are dead to themselves and to their neighbors or to their family and all of that, that they have no feeling
at all. I was talking to someone today. I said, I thought I never had the capacity to love, because it got to a stage where I just became numb emotionally. I had to put myself in that state of numbness emotionally, because it was important for me to protect
your sanity.
My sanity. So if I am numb emotionally, I don't get to feel
the pain
and all of that. So when I hear you speak about how we're breeding a crop of people that do not even understand, you know, what this is all about, and we're breeding animals in the name of marriage and all of that. It just brought to my mind why you see a lot of young people, and because the reverse is the case now.
Yeah, absolutely, they don't want to get married.
Never.
No.
I'm not interested. If this is what marriage looks like,
I don't want it.
Count me out. Or you see a lot of people, they just go in, after 1 month, Omo, I'm not going to take it, right? So we have a lot of people, because now you mentioned the children, and that is the reality. It's a vicious circle, right? When we are doing things and we're not thinking about the impact it will have emotionally, it will have mentally, it will have on the children, right? On their psychology.
The larger case is tomorrow you're thinking this is happening to somebody else. What of if the child of that person and your child meet and tomorrow they want to get married, and this child is coming from a mindset, a very warped and distorted mindset.
Absolutely.
When your own child is involved, how differently are you going to take that situation?
All right, let's take a break, right? I'd really love to open our phone lines to hear, you know, this is actually a very, you know, it's a sober day for us, but we'd love to hear what you have to say about this conversation. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Now, if you just tuned in, it's a ladies' night out, and we are, and our focus tonight is we're asking how can we normalize, right? We need to normalize walking out of toxic relationships. Don't stay there and die and say because you have to be there for better, for worse. Till death do you part, right? Please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081 803-84663. You can also tweet at us at PlusTvAfrica1 with the hashtag WayShow. Our phone line is also now open. To number to call is 07025 007749 07025007749. Please remember the rules. Turn off the volume of your television set so we can hear ourselves clearly. You know, I like how we have broken down that line. Till death do us part has always been, from the concept that I understand it to be, that we grow old together, you know, and we hold each other's hands, and, you know, one party dies, the other party dies, or we die together. That is what till death do us part means. But now people are in relationships where it is almost constant, and yet, you know, you are not leaving that toxic relationship because you've been fed that idea that it is death that must take you out of that marriage. And that's why we're having a lot of people, their dead bodies in coffins, leaving marriages. But let me take our first caller for the evening. Thank you for calling.
Good evening.
Hi, thank you for calling.
You're welcome.
Yes, this is the president.
You're welcome.
Yeah, first I want to make a statement that anything I speak to you is from experience as a married queen. And as a matter of fact, I've seen a lot of marriage, and I can tell you the ups and downs of marriage, and I'm still learning today. However, toxic relationship comes from day one. Then it appears in the middle of the relationship. From day one, there must be a red flag. Something must have happened. Please pardon my English. That shows you that this kind of thing might happen in the future. Like maybe you had someone or two temperament things, and see the way the guys go, what the kind of words that comes out from him. I think I had a guy that told his girlfriend that he's going to kill her and put her in the fridge and eat her meat. They're in a relationship, they're just dating. Now, if a guy can tell you that, jokingly or not jokingly, it's a red flag. Now, you coming out from toxic relationship is as simple as judging situations. When you judge situation, you compile it and see. It's not the other, and it can happen to both sexes, from the male or the female. You understand? But all we need to know is you try to understand where things are going out of hand. I do have quarrel with my wife. Sometimes we spend 3 days, we will not even talk to each other. I don't even eat her food. And our kids will not know. Seriously, we'll go into the room, we'll lock, we flush it out, we discuss, we clear it out. Sometimes we will write agreement and sign. We see how funny it is. But nothing goes above God. We don't go to the side, I'll kill you, I'll beat you, I'll destroy you, I'll maim you. Those language, when you start coming out, it's just flag, no matter how angry you are.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, youngest old man.
So people should understand where there's red flag, and if you start coming out, don't even go to a friend.
Thank you.
Don't go to a crazy. Let me tell you one funny thing that people do. When I had a problem sometime in my marriage, do you know where I went? I went to a man, an elder man that had 4 wives sometime, like, though he's not having any now. And I went to him and said, Baba, this is what I'm going through. Please, what can I do? He said, my brother, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. I decided not to go to any clergy because someone has not been married cannot be advising you on marriage. Marriage is bigger than that. Marriage needs 100% experience for somebody to advise you. You cannot be a married woman and be having a friend that is a spinster. You cannot be a married man and be having a friend that's a bachelor that will be advising you about marriage. People are making that mistake. You go to a priest that's not been married for what? Marriage is a big business. There are red flags. People underline it.
Thank
and
you.
I'm saying this from experience.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You know, he said something, and I'd like to stick to that. When he said that from the red flag is always and has always been that it is from day one.
Yeah.
Then it shows up in the middle of the relationship. Then eventually, you know, some people just go south, and that's the truth, right? You know how we stupidly think that
people will change.
People will change that
when
you
they
know,
get into marriage.
When they get into marriage, you know, maybe this is just because the person is young, or
I can change her,
I can change him. You know, the red flag always shows up from day one. So you know, because of the years that I have, you know, I have lived, let me say it that way, on this earth. I say to people that what you cannot take 10 years down the line in any relationship, do not take it from day one, because it will show up, and guess what? It will show up with so much audacity, and you know that it will.
Absolutely.
By then it would have grown wings.
Effrontery would
with
be
so much effrontery and audacity.
Epic.
And guess what? That time it is a lot more irritating, a lot more, you know, like in your face. You
generally have short fuse at that time.
You know what? Let me take a call, and I'll come back to you, Noma. Someone from Warri. Thank you for calling.
Okay, hi.
Morgan, thank you for calling.
Okay, thank you. I just want to speak on the legal perspective.
Okay.
Because that's where I'm most concerned. What is done to these men? Because that's where I'm concerned. Because many a times we always speak about the clergy. We always we want the church to act. We want the society to say no about it. But if the law stands up against it, I'm sure a lot of people will control themselves.
They'll go to jail.
Where they will go to.
Yeah.
If there is a clear-cut punishment for those kind of actions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's number one.
Okay.
Secondly, women do any kind of thing because they want to get married. And so they tolerate a lot of things, even during the dating and courtship period. I feel strongly that you cannot give everything out because you just want to get married. You need to be very careful about who you get married to. Like the previous caller said, the red flags are always there. But we see them and we say, no, this is the devil fighting against my marriage. This opportunity I've got. So I feel strongly that women should be willing to cut right, and when they see these red flags, they say no and step aside.
Thank you so much, Morgan. And I love your angle that it is, you know, because you see, it's one thing for you to say, I pray, pastor, pray. If you know that you're going to be hung, they will just jail you, right? There are some things that you would probably just not do. You walk out of the marriage and say, get out of my house. It's better you chase her out than for you to kill her. You know?
Well, I think there are laws to that effect. There's even the what's the Ministry of Women Affairs or something like that.
Even she visited the home, the minister for Women Affairs.
Okay.
She actually visited the children. I saw some video online, you know, that she went to visit the children
after
and all of that.
she died.
Yes, she went to visit. So it is very clear that the law will take its course in this. But I'm saying that the thing has
Did
already
it have
happened.
to get to
Do you
death?
understand?
Did she
I
have
don't
to
want to die.
Did she have to die?
You know, I don't have to die for the thing to happen.
So we were talking, the topic is normalizing walking away. The thing is...
Sorry, Norma, I think we have Fred on the line. Thank you for calling, then I'll come back to you. Fred, are you there? Go ahead. You're live.
Hello?
Yes, Fred, thank you for calling. Let's hear what you have to say.
What I want to say is pretty simple. I feel that a white man was not wrong in making something called divorce. So if a relationship is not working, you should just divorce it. And I believe this thing that everybody runs to a church seeking advice, I think on your own, with your own conscience, if the marriage is not favorable,
Thank you.
well,
Thank you so much,
that's
Fred.
what it is.
Thank you so much, Fred. So, you know what you were saying?
Yeah. I was trying to...
Saying that the topic, normalizing
walking away. I think most of the people who find it difficult walking away is due to the cultural implications, the religious implications. A lot of people are not taught to know that there is support even in the... So before now, you will be seen as being ostracized, or people will be pointing, oh, that woman left her marriage. It was seen to be a bad thing to want to walk out of a relationship that was not working. And people did not even take the time to find out what is going on. And even if they found out that whether or not...
Go ahead.
Whether or not the fault was yours or not, the fact that something is wrong in this relationship did not even make them to think in that direction. So you are looked at as the person that destroyed her home. You are looked at the person that doesn't want to keep her home. And it's a problem in our society. It's a major problem.
God help me today.
So being able to normalize it is, first of all, empowering the people before they get into the relationship.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Let me take Tokwe from Kaduna. Thank you for calling, Tokwe.
Yes, good evening.
Hi, thank you. Go ahead quickly, you're live.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, first and foremost, women in relationship would usually know when they're dating someone who is violent.
Thank you.
And I think it's easier then to walk out than in marriage. So I think we need to do more of creating an awareness that watch out in your relationship, know whether you're dealing with a partner that is violent, so that you can easily walk away from there. I know even at that stage, some people will say it's not easy. Some people have invested years into a relationship, but it's much more easier than in marriage. Because as far as we remain a conservative society, we would always have issues of women in marriage wanting to just walk out like that. I was just discussing with someone that as maybe just considering that your children could be in the hands of another woman and you could be treated so badly if you decide to walk out of your marriage, could keep a woman in a marriage, in an abusive marriage. So these are things we must pay attention to and maybe focus on creating an awareness. Women, you are noticing your partner is violent while you are dating, walk away.
Thank you.
Let that be something.
So Tokwe, I'd like to just add a bit on what I want to build up on what he said. So it is okay for us to say, when you notice your partner is being violent in the relationship, walk away. I also want the people that are pressurizing these people to go and get married to understand that even if at the point of I do, at any time T, that you feel uncomfortable with this relationship, it is also okay to let it go. right? Because again, the pressure is real. You cannot take away that pressure. Stop asking a woman or a young girl, you know, when are you getting married? Right? If she finds the right person, she will settle down.
I was just
Right?
going to point that out again, because back in the things that affect a human being naturally, you have background, you have the environment that raised them, and then you have the significant emotional experiences that they go through. When people are pressured, you live in a society that pressures you into, some of them, they know they're getting older, maybe
already
they have
know that.
fewer suitors or things like that. They just want to get this done.
Can we
with.
normalize not asking people?
At the end of the day, pressure gets the best of them. They succumb to things that they would not normally succumb to, but
And
because of
settle
the
for
pressure,
less.
or settle.
Absolutely. Let me take Austin, I think, from Benin.
Yeah, good evening.
Thank you for calling.
Yeah. It's very, very, very simple. At the point of courtship, God will reveal to you if this man is going to be your husband or this woman will be your wife. But you know, when it comes to marriage now, we usually take things for granted. You know, we like to take things for granted. Now we think that, oh, you know, it's going to take, for instance, a man that is not into alcohol, and you're going to marry a woman who likes to take alcohol. How will that marriage work? You understand? So you now be thinking that, oh, when you get married, then she will change. You can't change an adult. Even this born again thing we talk about, this can't change an adult. You are who you are. You know, so that's what I always tell people. Look, an adult is difficult to change. For instance, my daughter was going to get married to someone, and she called off the relationship. And when I investigated, I discovered that the things that the guy was exhibiting are those things that my daughter didn't like. For instance, you know, trying to be who you are not. You know, trying to raise shoulders with, you know, other people, trying to, you know, so she doesn't like, well, that's also my kind of life anyway. So, in a nutshell, when you want to get married, God, you know, when you are patient, God will let you know that, look, this person, then you have to now try and marry your friend. You must be compatible. Now this lady, it's so unfortunate that this lady died. You know, very, very unfortunate, because now she had left and she came back. Why did she go back? She shouldn't have gone back. And now we hear that they have discovered that guy has a mental problem. That's what is just coming out now. How come they couldn't discover that? And then the poor lady just died like that. It's very annoying that she died. Such a beautiful lady.
Thank you so much.
Talented lady.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Austin.
It could also be a cover, because some people plead insanity when they know the cost of what their actions are going, or the consequences of their actions.
So I want to also plead with the society, right? When somebody says, I want to walk out of my marriage, right? Can we stop to ask all those questions? What would people say? You see, you know why I thank God for the kind of person that I am. You can say whatever you want to say, as long as you are not distorting my peace, right? I think even us as women, men, whatever it is, be okay with people calling you names, right? If they want to call you a divorcee, if they want to call you a what's it called, the B word, the what's it called, the P word, whatever it is they want to call you, accept it and own it with your chest. Because you see, it is who that is, it is the person that is alive that they can even look at you and say, Norma, you are a this, you are a that. It is when people are dead, you are gone. You're gone. They will not say, why didn't she walk out of the marriage? But when she was complaining, you people said, no, don't. What will people say? What will the society say? We should stop all of those things, because these things are still very much prevalent. Right? When people look at you and say you are irresponsible because you are not married, or because you are divorced.
You're divorcee.
Right?
Yeah.
Why do we do that? So if we say we want to normalize walking out of toxic relationship, we must also embrace the fact that some relationships were not meant to be. Some relationship needs time apart, right? And some relationship need to be completely severed.
Absolutely. And also, I think support structure is very key in being able to normalize walking out of a toxic environment. For everyone, I would want to applaud women, men, find yourself before you get into a relationship, because it's not, most people believe that it is the relationship that will help them to find themselves. You have to find yourself, and then you have to now know who is that person that will be comfortable with you being yourself.
Absolutely.
Because when people are not comfortable with you being yourself, it's already a pointer, it's already a problem. Marriage or a union or a relationship is supposed to bring out the best in everyone. It's supposed to be full of respect, of love, of understanding, of support, right?
If those things
are missing, that already tells you that there's a problem. And then when you have family, your family is very important, because I've seen several cases where people are victimized, and I'm asking, where is their family? How can something like this be happening to your daughter, to your sister, to your mother, or to, I heard of another situation of somebody whose mother was beat into a coma. And and they kept telling her, oh, stay in the marriage, stay in the relationship, you'll be fine, this and that, things will happen. Read Psalm this and Psalm that. And this woman was beaten again into a coma, and she died. And guess what? The father of that man that was sharing this story remarried.
Of course he will. What are you telling me?
You understand? So when you know you have, most times they'll isolate you because they don't want your family involved. That should be a pointer. When you own yourself and you have a support base, nobody can put you.
Well, I want to finally say that
nobody can put you under that situation.
Yeah, I want to say finally that finance is very important, right? A woman needs to be financially empowered. So when you see a woman going through a toxic relationship, if you can help her, do not demand to sleep with her because you want to help her financially, to get out of that situation. Because if she has a steady income and she's earning something, she doesn't need to stay in that relationship. Sometimes they are afraid that how can they fend? How can they do this? How can they do that?
In this case, she even had her voice.
But guess what? Our money
she had her voice, but her money was diverted.
So we need to also understand that there is a huge part that finance plays. But I don't think we can exhaust this conversation. But let's just take some comments, then we'll move on.
I have a comment here. It says, no need expunging part of the marriage vows. The unfortunate thing is lack of knowledge. It is the same Bible that said, it's the same Bible that said we should be wise, walk out from any life-threatening relationships. Some pastors are not helping matters. Yes, there can be job loss, sickness, but not violence. Don't remain there. Lose your sanity and eventually your life. This is from Austin from Delta. Then we have one from Daniel. Thank you, Daniel and Austin. It says, good evening, my dear beautiful sisters of What Are You Saying Ways. Concerning the idea of marriage, people have a terrible understanding of it. Before you get married, you must really understand and study the real character of your spouse. People have double character, absolutely. They pretend to you before you get married, and when they get married, eventually they offload the real beast in them. Marriage is not what people think it is. Patience is the watchword. Many people are in a hurry to marry simply because their friends are married, and they end up not waiting for their time, and the marriage in return is destroyed. There should be pressure. There should not be pressure in getting married. It is deadly and suicidal.
Absolutely. So this person says no relationship is worth dying for. Good evening, ladies, but you didn't put your name. But you see, I just wanted to quickly say that because a lot of people were commenting on preventive, which is good. Let's talk to the young people when you're getting married. But the truth is, there's a woman there, there's a man there in a toxic relationship. You have already entered one chance. You need to get out of that relationship today, because trust me, you think I cannot be that person that is inside that coffin, but that's a big lie.
And truth be told, walking away does not make you a coward
at all. It makes you even courageous in the more, right? It's a strength for you to walk away. All right, thank you so much, Norma. Thank you to everyone that called, that tried to call, and the people that sent in messages. Thank you so much. Before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagram. It's at PlusTvAfrica. And also on Twitter at PlusTvAfrica1. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and more importantly, follow all our engagements on social media, like, share, and invite your families and friends to continue to watch and follow the conversation. Now, if you missed today's quote, here it is again. Please know that you can get out and it will not always be an easy road, and it will be lonely at times, but it only gets better. Life is too beautiful to leave it trapped and abused and hiding under the shame of it all. This is from the Overcoming the Stigma of Intimate Partner Abuse group. All right, we'll see you guys live tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring you another great conversation. Enjoy.